Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. And what is this video about? Well, today I would like to talk about processing textures in Max using jit.gl.pix. These textures could be a two-dimensional image, a real-time video feed, a movie, or indeed an already 3D rendered scene, which is exporting a texture. And basically, we're going to look at interesting ways in which we can process those various textures to add a little bit of stylization and a little bit of, I don't know, va-va-voom. Basically, to make your visuals look a little bit more interesting and maybe have a little bit of, well, texture to them, I suppose. A little bit of grit or something. Just stuff to make them look a little bit like, ooh, they've got an edge to them. So, where should we start? Well, I think what we'll do is we'll start with just dragging in the video of the chickens. Where is the video of the chickens? Here is the video of the chickens. So I've got a couple of assets pre-prepared, which I got from a website called Vexteezy, which is kind of one of these, sort of Sketchfab type websites where they have loads of assets on there. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for or whatever. Anyway, these are free ones that I got, and I'm going to use them to process the texture of this video of chickens. First, I'm going to need to make sure that output texture is enabled. I don't need to do that actually, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to choose output texture on this playlist object, and then I'm going to make a jit.gl.video plane with at transform reset 2 enabled, and then I'm going to connect that to that, and then I'm going to turn loop on and play the video of the chickens. There are the chickens. Okay, so currently this is being fed out of this playlist object as a texture. This blue line here, let's zoom in a little bit. You can see it's blue. In fact, zooming in did not make the blue line any bigger. Anyway, that's blue. That means that is an OpenGL texture. So we can use shaders, I believe, to process that. I'm going to use jit.gl.pix. I suppose I'm going to make my own shader. So I'm going to click this cable here. I'm going to go Shift-N and I'm going to type jit.gl.pix. And I'm going to lock the patch, double click that, and then we get this blank jit.jet or gen patching window. Now, by default, I always think it looks like the flux capacitor from Back to the Future. Anyway, by default, you get two inputs, two inlets, and they are added together and then summed on the way out. So if I was to, for example, take this texture I have here, what's an image, I suppose, of some scratchy glass, and maybe take the render bang here and bang that and plug that into the, maybe let's put that in a texture. Let's say jit.gl.texture. Let's maybe make it a texture just to make sure. So it's currently sending out, you can see that's a green line. That's sending out a matrix. I think maybe on this occasion I want a texture. I'll make a P window and see if that's worked. I would say that they look pretty much identical to me. That's fine. So if I take the output of this now texturized 2D image and plug it into the right inlet of jit.gl.pix, then this has happened. What has happened here? Well, basically, these two images have been added together, which I guess you would just call like an additive blend, which is all right, interesting. I mean, basically it just looks like two images that have been stuck together. If I went back into jit.gl.pix and maybe put a multiply in between the inlet 2 and the plus and said multiply by 0.25, then they're still being blended a bit. The scratchy glass is being blended slightly less. So that's just a type of blending, which is very nice. Maybe you want that. Maybe you want to composite two images together. I want to go a little bit further than that, but I'll also look at some other things. Like you could try different types of mathematics here if you want to experiment. So we could try multiply one texture by the other. So yeah, slightly different. We could try divide by one texture from the other. You can sort of see the difference. We could try, I don't know, what's this one? Equal operator? Yeah. So you can experiment with all these different types of maths here. Maybe we could do like a reciprocal, or no, it's like reverse it maybe. Let's see what that. Yeah. You can get, interesting sort of blending and compositing options very quickly just by using different types of maths. This is all stuff we've seen before in stuff like Photoshop and whatnot. Could try like maybe something slightly different. So I might, I'll go back into jit.gl.pix. And maybe what I might do is before the second texture comes in, I'll maybe try and apply like a threshold to it. So I'll say greater than 0.9 and see what we get on the way out. Okay, so basically what I've done there is I've sort of applied like a kind of binary sort of operation here where anything that's above 0.9 comes through as white and anything that's beneath comes through as black. Now, if I was to take that and multiply that with the other texture, then we get this, which I would guess is a mask. So we've essentially used that second texture as a mask over the other one, or, well, yeah, I mean, it's where the value is 9 or above, so 0.9 or above, then we get white, which is letting the other texture through. And then if we don't, we get black, and it doesn't let the other texture through. So interesting blending options, but let's go a little bit further. Let's sample these two textures together. So I'm going to create a sample operator. Let's zoom in a little bit. Create a sample operator. If we connect that texture, so the chickens is in 1 and the scratchy glass is in 2. Connect that to the sample. We kind of just get this coming through. If we connect that in there, then we get that. That's not really what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a norm object, take the normalized coordinates, I believe, of this input, and add that to the scratchy glass coming in on input 2 and put that into the sample. And then we get this. Isn't that interesting? So it's almost, to me, I feel like I'm looking through the chickens through a bit of scratchy glass now. It's applying some distortion based around what's going on in the scratchy glass texture. It's kind of like offset it a little bit. Maybe I can do something about that. Maybe I can multiply this by a lower number. Let's try 0.1 rather. Right, okay, let's try even less. Let's try 0.01. Okay, let's try 0.05. Okay, so now we've still got a little bit of our scratchy glass texture going on, but it's not offset it so much. Maybe there's something I can do with the clipping, or maybe I could say in sample, I could say at bound mode. Let's try wrap. Is it wrap or no, mirror? I think it's mirror. Okay, so that's kind of taken the edge and made a mirror on that. So if we actually look down here in this corner, you can see that that's reflecting where it's being offset. So if I actually took this out, oh no, that's too much. Let's leave it at that. Okay, so we have some very nice sort of scratchy glass distortion over our chickens. So, kind of looks like maybe we might be looking at it through a bit of broken glass or something, scratchy glass. So that's all very nice. Let's leave that in the patch. But I'm actually just going to take it out. And I'm going to try now and do this on a 3D rendered scene. I'm just going to tidy this up a little bit. Okay, so now let's try this on a 3D rendered scene. So I'm going to make a... I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to make a jit.gl.node. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to give my jit.world a name, and I'm going to call it the world. Okay. Now I'm going to create a jit.gl.node, which is going to render to the world, which is our kind of final rendering destination, but I'm going to give it a name, at name the node. Okay, and I'm going to say at capture 1, and I think that's all I'm going to need to do for now. So I'm going to make a 3D scene now. So I'm going to make a jit.gl.grid shape, and I'm going to say render to the node, and it's going to be, well, it can just be the default sphere. Let's zoom out a bit. Where's my video playing gone? Right, so let's see if that has worked. Yes, it has. So what's happened? I've created this grid shape, which is rendering to this node, which is sending out a texture to this video plane, which is rendering to the world. So maybe just to be sure, I'll tell the video plane to render to the world as well. Right, okay, so yes, I've made a sub-rendering context inside my rendering context. So now that I've got this texture, I can do exactly the same type of processing I was doing here. But let's maybe make this a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to make a jit.bfg 3 planes, float 32 type data. Let's say dim is, oh no, not at dim. Yeah, at dim 100 by 100. And let's say at basis noise dot distorted. Can never spell distorted. Right. Let's bang that with our render bang and let's see what we have. All right. Yes, we've got some basis function stuff. Right. So I'm going to get my grid shape here, go at matrix output 1. And I'm going to make a jit.gl.mesh rendering to the node, connect that to that. Right. And then I'm going to create a jit.multiply and connect the output of the BFG to the jit.multiply, and then we get this. We get this shape. Kind of looks a bit naff. Let's maybe make these dims the same. At dim 100 by 100. Okay, and then let's maybe say on the mesh at smooth shading 1. Do we do that here? Yes, that looks... Okay, so I've just made this sort of interesting blob of stuff. And maybe what I might do is do a pack offset 0, 0, 0. Oh, I'm going to need one more plane here. So I can just have a dimension of 1 and plug that in there. And then I'll make a jit.time and just connect that to the third inlet. And then that's going to just make that sort of animate like that. Let's reset the handle. I don't like that. Okay, I'm going to maybe rotate XYZ by 90, 0, 0. Yeah, okay, that just looks a little bit better. So we've got a little fluttery animation type thing. Let's maybe make it a bit brighter. So in the, I can never remember. Let's see, at GL color 1111. No, let's try it in this. At GL color. Actually, this doesn't really matter because I'm going to use a material, but do it anyway. 1, 1, 1, 1. There we go. All right. Okay. But who cares about that actually? Because I'm just going to make a jit.gl.material and connect it to my mesh. And now we have this. Okay, that's fine. Maybe I'll make a light. Let's actually just say render to the node on the material. Okay. I won't bother with the light. This is plenty, but you can do whatever you want. Add lights, add whatever. Basically, everything that we're doing now is being rendered into this node here. So if I was to create a jit.p window, we would see what's going on there. So that is now a texture, and we can now process that texture in the same way that we did with the video of the chickens, but we don't have to use images. We can use other videos. We can use other textures, and I'm going to do that exactly the same way. In fact, I might even just copy this jit.gl.pix, put that in there, double click it, just check it's the same. It's a bit of a, oh my goodness me, it's a bit of a mess. Let's maybe just make it a little bit more sensible. All right. So from that same Vecteezy website, I downloaded some really rather nice videos of some old scratchy film. Let's have a look at those. So let's have a look at this first one. Yeah, so this is just some sort of, It's very, very nice. There's lots of stuff going on. This is just some sort of video clip of a blank piece of, I don't know, Super 8 footage or something. And here's another one. And so if I was to now plug that in to my jit.gl pics, which I've made. Oh, it didn't work. Okay. I was too fast. Let's go output texture on the playlist and see how that's working. Okay, it is actually working. I just wasn't looking closely enough. So let's go back in. Let's maybe multiply this by the full amount. Okay, that kind of looks all right. Ah, the video's not looping. Let's put these both to loop. Okay, play that video again. There we go. So now our 3D rendered scene is having this distortion applied to it by all the data in the scratchy film, which is pretty cool, I think. Let's have a look at this first one. Yeah, just adds a little bit of extra zhoo, I don't know. I like it. It's made me think very differently about what I'm going to do with my jitter visuals in the future, just to give them a little bit of extra something, I don't know. Could maybe try a different basis on our BFG here. Could try like noise cell. These are all things that you can try in your own time. And so what about if I wanted to do, let me think about this. If I wanted to do some like post-processing on the jit.gl.node before it comes into this jit.gl.pics, well, let's delete that. Let's create a jit.gl.pass drawing to the node. Let's see if this works. At effects name, bloom-hq. And connect that texture output to the pics. Right, that's worked. So does that mean that the threshold, let's pull the threshold down. Yes, right. So now I'm applying some bloom to the jit.gl.node. So essentially whatever's coming out here is now having this process applied to it. So you can see how you can kind of go inside and outside and upside down and inside out with this stuff to go a little bit further in terms of making your visuals, you know, look a little bit more interesting. So I can pull this threshold down on this bloom, which is applying it only to the 3D object. So I'm gonna code that in. Let's say at threshold, or is it param threshold? Let's try it at threshold 0.75. Okay, that worked. Cool. Yeah, it's exciting. So I'll maybe make a little gate here. Let's maybe, or a switch. Let's maybe make a switch here. Switch 2. And then, oh no. Oh no, yes. Let's take that texture, put that into that switch, come out of there. Let's make a toggle here. Let's say +1. And then I can just sort of switch between the texture of the chickens and the texture of, yeah. Oh, it's upside down. Oh, how did that happen? That's interesting. Anyway, they are both upside down, are they? What's happened here? I can't tell anymore. I don't know what's real. Anyway, just a quick little test. You can sort of use the switch. I don't know why they're upside down. Anyway, that was kind of really all I wanted to talk about today in Max. What fun you can have with Max. So try this yourself and yeah, send me what you do. I'm going to, well, actually, I'm going to save this now. Let's go save. And then where's my project window? Here it is. Yeah, so I'm going to go to manage project, go consolidate. Okay, that's great. Now I think all of those assets are saved in the project, and where I'm going to go and put this project on my Patreon, where if you'd like to support me, you can download this patch plus all kinds of other things, and even get some private tuition for anything to do with Max or Ableton, and hang out with some like-minded people on the Discord and chat with me if you want, or chat with them. Okay, that's it. Have fun. See you next time. Bye.